Okay, so I watched The Witch, Robert Edgar's movie. An isolated Puritan family in the 1630s New England comes unraveled by the forces of witchcraft and possession. Interesting movie. It's a little slow, but it's only like an hour and a half. Um, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was like amazing. I've heard a lot of good things about this movie. I just thought it was okay. Anya Taylor-Joy's in it. She's good. She's good in everything. And really good cast. Ralph Ineson, Kate Dickey. So basically they're from England and they go to New England to start a new life, and they're banished. Now, I rewatched the beginning. It's a little unclear why they're banished. I mean, at least to me, I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of hard to follow what they're saying because it's in like, almost like Old English kind of. But I mean, you can follow it, but it's just, I don't know. Maybe it was the sound mixture. There was no subtitles either. So at least they weren't working. So that was a little confusing. They're banished, and they go deep into the woods. They find an area. They build a house. He farms corn and has some livestock, and the livestock becomes much more important later. And there's a witch in the woods, and they have a little baby, and one day the baby's with Anya Taylor-Joy, and then the baby just disappears, and they think it's a wolf. They don't really know. The mother kind of maybe blames Anya Taylor-Joy because she was with the child, but yeah, and then the rest of the movie takes place. It's a very dark movie. It's a messed up movie, man. Basically, it's just this family's life just slowly being destroyed. People are dying, their children are dying, and I'll just get into spoilers because it's kind of hard to talk about it. Basically, Anya Taylor-Joy, she gets accused of being a witch by the two little kids, her brother and sister. But then it's like they actually made like a pact with the devil, and there's this horned goat that is in their barn, and that's like supposed to be like the devil. And the horned goat talks to the kids, or at least they say he does. And Anya Taylor-Joy is accused of being a witch, but early on she did kind of play a game on them where she said she was a witch and she was going to attack them, but she said it was all fake. So and then Anya Taylor-Joy, basically people disappear around her. Anya Taylor-Joy and her brother go into the woods because he wants to maybe catch some food that are in some traps, because like his dad, he's not a great farmer and they need more food, and they're gonna get rabbits. And then the dog starts freaking out. The horse that Anya Taylor-Joy starts freaking out, kicks her off the horse. She gets unconscious. The brother goes into the woods to find the dog. They're deeper into the woods, and then he finds a house that has a witch in it, and I think the witch is like kind of doing a spell on him where she looks like this, sexy lady, and then he's kind of like mesmerized, and then it cuts to black and he disappears. Definitely this movie's a little bit in the woods, kind of like reminding me of like the Blair Witch Project. So I liked that part. It says at the end of the movie, a lot of this is based on folklore from the time. So it does feel, you know, like the time, the 1630s, whatever that felt like. But to me, it passed the smell test. And I don't know, the movie's just kind of disturbing though. It's like, you know, people that are into that, okay, but for me, it's just kind of disturbing, and the ending's incredibly dark, and she, because she keeps being accused of being a witch. Then her brother shows back up at the house. He is very sick and naked. He pukes up an apple, which I was like, what is that about? But wasn't that in Snow White that she had an apple and it was poisoned? I don't know. That kind of brought that to mind. But and then he pukes it up, and then he seems like he's getting better, but then he just dies. And then the two twins, who are the little kids, they pass out. Anya Taylor-Joy, but before they do that, the twins accuse Anya Taylor-Joy of being a witch. The father doesn't want to believe it, and the mother's kind of like believing it. She's like, get away. Because she, I think, was already pissed at her, you know, because the baby disappeared under her watch. It's very sad, you know, like the mother is just like a mess because, I mean, basically all of her children are dying around her. I think the father was pretty fair though, and until maybe the end, because then he believes that either the two kids are witches or she's a witch, and he locks them in this with the goat. Probably wasn't smart. And the father's played by Ralph Inson, and man, that guy looks like the most English man I've ever seen. Just his face, like, it's like something out of, like, you'd see like a drawing from, like, you know, 1650 England, and it would look just like that guy. Like kind of like long, skinny face, like nose that kind of goes, I don't know. It just looks like an English painting from like hundreds of years ago. That guy, but and I thought he was good. But it's like the thing about this, like sometimes like people are like whispering in the movie, and I'm just like, I don't know, trying to follow it, and I don't know. It's and then the music's very loud, and something about the sound design I just felt was off. But I don't know. That's but yeah, it's a very dark movie. It definitely reminds me of Blair Witch Project. This is almost like maybe the origin of the Blair Witch. But in the end, Anya Taylor-Joy, everyone starts to die. Then the goat, well, when they're in that shack, they get attacked by the witch, who's really like an old woman that is not attractive, and she like steals the two little kids or kills them. I wasn't really clear on that part. And then Anya Taylor-Joy, of course, is there, so then she gets blamed for that too. But in the end, she does become the witch, because then she like makes a pact with the devil, basically, and with the goat. And then all of a sudden, this guy appears behind her, and it's, I guess, the devil. And she makes a pact with him to become a witch. So I don't know, it's like, was the whole time she secretly a witch? Or was that the moment, because she was so pissed about what happened to her and her family, she ends up killing her mother, because her mother starts attacking her because she's blaming her for all of her children dying. And she's still like, I don't know what's going on. Like, this lady flew in onto the top of the house and broke through, and then stole the children, and then took the children. She's like, I don't know what's going on. But she doesn't believe her. The father's breaking down and crying and begging God for forgiveness. Then he gets attacked in the morning when he wakes up and sees that the two children are gone. He gets attacked by the goat, rammed, and then he tries to kill the goat, but he's killed by the goat. Yeah, it's an interesting movie. It's pretty short, so, but it's definitely got a good tone going on, creepy tone. You know, it makes you glad you don't live back then. I mean, it looks cold and dirty. The floor is dirt. You know, they're out in the middle of nowhere. Very little supplies. They have very little food. I like the scene when they're eating food because they're just eating bread and that's like their dinner. You know, that's it. So, which is how the times was. I mean, you know, you weren't always eating meat, and if you were, it was a blessing, and it was special. Unless you were super rich, of course. But they were not super rich, and the mother's breaking down and crying and saying she misses England, that they should have never left. She's kind of blaming the father for all of this. Anya Taylor-Joy blames the father too, because she's like, you're not good at farming and you're not good at hunting, and you know you've doomed this family. But yeah, I liked it. Let's see, what else has this director done? The Northman, The Lighthouse. Okay, I haven't seen those. Oh, he's doing Nosferatu. Oh, that's cool. In fact, I just read, I don't know if this is true, but PETA is gonna boycott the movie and go to some of the theaters to protest it, because in the movie it's suggested that rats spread disease or something. It's like, what the it's so weird. But anyways, it made 40 million. The budget was $4 million, so huge. You know, a lot of money there. According to the cinematographer, the film was shot mostly with available and natural light. Yeah, it's definitely got great cinematography. The spelling of the title, The Witch, which uses 2 V's, is how the word was written into the story's period because the letter W was not yet in common use at the time. That's interesting. So a W is literally 2 V's. Wow. The film was shot in only 25 days. Well, that's very quick. A hare appears frequently in the film. In colonial New England, hares were considered magical creatures in their own right. They were often associated with witches, either as a milk hare, which stole or spoiled milk from the farm animals, or the witch themselves, who were thought able to turn into a hare in order to spy on and influence people. Oh, okay. So that's kind of what that's about in the movie. Because when they're hunting, the hare is watching them, and then the dad's gonna shoot the hare, but then the gun backfires, and I mean, it doesn't mess up his face or anything, but kind of burns part of his face. So that probably was the witch then, right? Watching them. Yeah, and then later the hare was in the I don't know what you would call it, like I guess like a very small barn, I guess, with the goat. The premise is based on America's first witch hysteria, set 62 years before the infamous Salem witch trials in colonial Massachusetts. At 14 minutes 40 seconds, William is shown holding a rotting cob of corn, which has been mistaken for ergot, a fungus that produces the hallucinogen ergotamian, which is commonly accepted a cause of hysteria involved in cases of witchcraft. However, ergot is most commonly found on rye and other cereal grazes and does not grow on corn. Huh. So is it kind of saying that all, like, this is just maybe fake, that it's just hallucinations? Well, in the end, Anya Taylor-Joy walks into the woods naked and then sees a bunch of other witches naked, dancing around a fire and then floating in the air. So that's interesting. So maybe it's all just, they're just tripping. According to Robert Edgars, he did not direct Harvey Scrimshaw through most of his difficult scenes of the film. In those scenes, Scrimshaw was directed by Ralph Ineson. Edgars had no children at the time, while Ineson was a father of two and frequently works as an acting instructor to children and knew much better how to coach a young boy. This was not planned, but Edgars admitted to Ineson, catching on that Scrimshaw had a hard time understanding Edgars' direction. According to Edgars, Ineson used Scrimshaw's passion for soccer and coached him like Scrimshaw was preparing for a high-stakes game of football. Most of the film's dialogue and story were based on writings from the time. Robert Edgars' directorial film debut, he had only done one movie before this. If you could smash that like button, that'd be great. I really appreciate it. Helps the channel a lot. Like, comment, subscribe. For short, he'd only done some short movies and written a script for The Witch. Unbeknownst to him, his editor Louise Ford had passed his script on to producers Lars Knudsen, and Jay Von Hoy, with whom she was working at the time. Edgars was horrified since she didn't consider the script finished at the time, but fortunately the producers loved it. They did suggest that he simplify the structure, which was originally divided into 5 acts, each told from the perspective of one of the family members. 4 years later, financing was in place. I don't know, kind of maybe a criticism. I think you see this in a lot of modern movies. It just seems like it's hopeless. Like, everything that this family does, nothing helps. Like, they're constantly praying, and it doesn't do anything. And I don't know. I guess that's, but the thing that does have power is the evil thing. That's the devil, and that's shown to have power. But the good Christians aren't shown to have power. I don't know. It's, you kind of got that also in the new Exorcist movie, Exorcist Believer, which is terrible. But you kind of get that too, that the Christian priest has no power, but the other, the evil side has all the power. But I don't know. There's, I've seen that. I don't know. I've seen that in other modern movies. I guess it's just building a sense of dread, and nothing seems to be helping. But oh, this is Anya Taylor-Joy's debut movie, and Sarah Stevens. The film was shot in a rare 1:66:1 aspect ratio. So he said he did it because it's more timeless. It's a shape that goes back further into our history. I mean, you don't really see that a lot. 1:8:5:1 before the 1950s. Okay. Stephen King, who is often called the master of horror, has stated that this film terrified him. The Satanic Temple has endorsed this movie and hosted several screenings of the film. Their spokesperson, Jex Blackmore, addressed the film as an interpretive presentation of satanic insight. Wow. The film was inspired by many folk tales, fairy tales, and written accounts of historical witchcraft, including journals, diaries, and court records. Much of the dialogue comes from these period sources. I guess maybe there's kind of a feminist message in this too, which isn't on the nose or anything, but I just was thinking, because she kept getting blamed for people disappearing around her, but she swears she's not a witch, although she does become one in the end, right? So I don't know, kind of questions if she kind of already had those sympathies. But I mean, as far as the movie shows, she didn't make the little baby disappear. She didn't make her brother go run away. If anything, she seemed to be the closest to him and liked him. Then the other two children disappear. All gets blamed on her. I don't know, maybe kind of like back then, maybe, bad things go on in a house. She's, like a young teenage girl, but she takes all the blame. And I think that's what he was going for, Robert Eggers. So it's kind of an interesting aspect of the movie. But I don't think it's on the nose or anything. It's not a negative or anything. But the actress who plays the oldest and most powerful witch is named Bathsheba Garnett in real life. A year before this was released, The Conjuring premiered in theaters and featured the ghost of a satanic witch also known as Bathsheba. Oh, Ralph Ineson was in Game of Thrones. Okay. And Katie Dickey. They looked familiar. And Anya Taylor-Joy is into tarot cards, and she has a tarot deck cards. So the language the witches use in this film is mainly Enochian. Yeah, there's a really messed up scene in this movie too, where the mother wakes up in the middle of the night and she sees her son is back, he just died, and the little baby is back, and then she starts feeding the baby, but then it cuts back and it's actually like a crow that's like picking at her. I was like, oh god. So the movie's it's directed well. It definitely has some memorable scenes. So, but yeah, those are kind of my criticisms. Overall, about it's just like hopeless. Like nothing they do can save them, it seems like. But I guess it's kind of like a nihilistic kind of take. But yeah, that's about it though. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time.